Paper chameleons cut with care, peek from journal pages hiding there. Ink-stained tails curl round pressed flowers. In this crafted world they spend their hours. Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. Come on, chameleon, flip the page. Your paper home's a colorful stage. Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. Blend with ephemera, play and roam. This junk journal is your home, sweet home. So come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. Scrap paper colors change with each spread. Ink-dyed backgrounds make their bed. They climb through pockets full of glee. These tiny friends for you and me. Fold them, stick them, watch them grow. Through paper clippings, see them go. Stenciled patterns form their playground in this book where fun abounds. Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. Come on, chameleon, flip the page. Your paper home's a colorful stage. Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. Blend with ephemera, play and roam. This junk journal is your home, sweet home. So come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. Friendly lizards, small and spry, nestle in envelopes, feeling shy. But with a gentle turn of paper, they spring to life, what a caper! Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop, whoop. Come on, chameleon, flip the page. Your paper home's a colorful stage. Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. When with ephemera, play and roam. This junk journal is your home, sweet home. Come on, chameleon, whoop, whoop. So craft a world of pure delight, where paper friends stay day and night. Come on, chameleon, join the fun. In this journal, adventures have begun.
Hallöchen and welcome to my Come on Chameleon paper premiere. This is Luise Heinzel and I'm really excited to introduce you to this new paper collection, Come on Chameleon, today, while flipping through this journal I made from it. So if you are new here or if you are new to paper premieres on YouTube, let me quickly explain what this whole thing is and how that works, because a paper premiere is a very special video on YouTube. So that means you can find a chat box either here or here, next or below the video, depending on the device you are using to watch this. This video is pre-recorded, so that means I'm not live here at the moment, but, I mean, not in the video, but I'm live in the chat. So that means we can come in contact there and talk about what you see in the video. You can ask questions, of course, and I can give you some more information about this. And of course, the main point of the chat is that we can sit there and chat here and talk, and that we can come together while we look at this. The chat is going to be in English and in German, so I'm trying my best to alternate the languages in the chat. So if you are watching this in English, please don't be confused if there are some German sentences in the chat. Yeah, I'm trying my best to answer everything in both languages. I'm really hoping that I can manage that. So the good thing is that I can sit here and do this, and then I don't have to do that simultaneously. So I'm really a little bit happy that this is not live, but yeah, well, we will see. I'm really happy that you are here today with me and that you want to see this, and yeah, that you are interested obviously in chameleons as well. Otherwise you wouldn't have clicked to this video. So I always wanted to have a chameleon paper collection in my shop, and I'm so excited that I finally could manage to create this. And I thought it's a good idea, and that is the main idea behind this paper premiere video thing on my channel. I thought it's nice when you can see like nearly finished journal instead of just seeing the previews of the paper collection in my shop, or instead of loose sheets on my table. So that's why I started making a journal. Please don't be scared if you have never made a journal before. I mean, you could think this is already pretty fat, and when you look at it from here, then you could think it's finished, but it isn't. This is, and I really want to encourage you to be open for something like this. This is what I have after, I would say 4 or 5 half days on working on this. Yes, that is possible. And I want to throw that into the room. It is also possible for someone who is new to junk journaling. I really believe in that, because when I can do something like this, you can do that as well. But let's dive into detail about this, and then I will explain a little further what this is. And you will also, you are invited to come with me on a little like time travel thing during the next weeks, days and weeks, let's say it like that. I would say like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, because I have already recorded some of my process of making this journal. That means you will see this like nearly finished journal today in this video, and in the upcoming videos you will see some portions of my process. I will, for example, show you how I made this cover topper here and this thing with the lace and this fabric here. And I will also show you some other things where I will go into detail in a second when you see it in the journal, where I show you how I made that. So there will be tutorials and process videos coming very soon. So this journal is a soft cover with like, a hardcover from a book on top. That is something which is really surprising for me, because when I started this, I was like, I want to make a hardcover journal this time, because the last journal I made, I think that was my, it's not mine anymore, the journal I made for Barbara at 49 Dragonflies for EPHEMERA 2024, that was a soft cover as well. And I thought this time I will make a hardcover. But as you can see, it's soft. That is because I went a little crazy with this paper collection. I have a total of 5 signatures in here. Each signature has, I think, 5 pages in total. I mean, 5 papers folded in half. So, that I ended up with this. And when I had the signatures on my table, I immediately saw that a hardcover would be absolutely impossible, because the spine has 4 inches. In between of the signatures, there's 3/4 of an inch. And here, from the cover to the last and the cover to the first signature, there's 1/2 of an inch width. So that is a total of 4 inch for the spine. And I thought, when I do that as a hardcover, that looks absolutely terrible proportion-wise. And I really enjoy how this round spine came out when I made the soft cover. But then I thought I want to have something hard here on the cover, no matter what will happen in the journal, but I want something hard. And that is also because I wanted to have some dimensional things on here. So I have, on the one hand, layered my pieces here. For example, the chameleon and also the flowers are layered. They are cut from the junk journal pages, Come On Chameleon. And I have then made a, I don't want to say special layering technique, because, it's layers which get smaller. It's not very special, but that makes the flowers more dimensional, obviously. Can I show that here somehow? Can you see that? Here's, for example, this one layer, this petal here, I have cut out separately and then glued that on top of the other one. Here I have even 3 layers, and the chameleon is also layered, and I have also put some glossy accents here to his eye. I have tried a pretty crazy technique for my background, but you will see that in one of the upcoming videos where I show you how I made this whole piece. So there's a really detailed tutorial coming, or let's say not a tutorial, it's a process video on how I made this topper. I have used some glossy accents here with the help of a die cut and a stencil. I found something really cool out with my die cut and the stencil I've used there, but let's talk about that in the upcoming video. And for all of my German viewers, Hallöchen an alle deutschen Zuschauer. Ich habe hier Lidschatten benutzt. Ich möchte, dass ihr das kurz mal hier euch anguckt. To all of my German viewers, I have used some eyeshadow here. That is somehow a little bit like a running gag, because my German viewers are really, in a really kind way, aggressive with asking for things. And they have told me for years that I shall try to use eyeshadow on my junk journal projects. So I thought I want to try this out here for the first time, and I have chosen a special eyeshadow here, which changes the color. Ich habe mir da hier richtig ins Zeug gelegt für euch. Ne? Habe ich hier extra mir hier sowas bestellt, was die Farbe wechselt. Seht ihr? So this eyeshadow changes the color from purple to green, and I think that is really, really nice. Do you think that is kitschy? I mean, first I thought, what the heck, this could turn out really kitschy, but then I thought, no, I really, really like the subtle effect, and that it still is translucent, so that we can see this green, oh, excuse me, please, this green color of the book cover. So then this chameleon, and also a lot of the chameleons in the journal, are embossed with frosted crystal. I had a blast with a ton of frosted crystal. I don't know if you can see that so well in the camera, but perhaps you know that frosted crystal is a special kind of embossing powder. It's matte and frosty. I think my camera can't catch that so well here, but it makes the chameleon literally touchable. There will also come a video where I show you how to make that in detail. I have tried out different things to make the chameleons, that you can pet them, because when I see them, I always want to take my finger and pet them. So I thought about some things, how that is possible, but there is going to come a video about that as well. And here, no, here not. I have to do it here. So as I said, this is not completely finished yet. I thought I have done it here as well, but there's another tag like this where I have done that. But here in the background, there's also frosted crystal, and I think that is, like a really underrated product, because you can get so subtle effects to your pages. That is, for me, it's really incredible, because in the camera you nearly can't see it, but when you go over this, you have the feeling here is something, and of course that makes you want to touch the pages, and that makes a journal way more interesting, at least in my eyes. Speaking about eyes, I have also taken some eyelashes. So I bought some pretty cheap eyelashes on Amazon. And with that, I also found out that eyelashes are not only available in black and brown, but also, for example, in white. Really cool. I would not put something like this on my eyes. I'm not the person who is doing that, but for crafting, this is really cool. And I will definitely try out some more things with this kind of stuff here. You can even, and that is something I found out way later than I recorded the video where I show you this, I found out that you can even shape them with using your heat gun. I have to make some more experiments with that, because this is also new to me. I have used this here for the first time in my junk journal life, but look how cute this is. I mean, that makes this little animal way more into a paper friend, doesn't it? I mean, that is the main, for me, the main goal behind something like this, when you have animals in your journal, that you have little friends in your journal and that you can, you know, touch them and that you can, if you want, talk to them or so. And with those little details, like for example, these eyelashes or also some glossy accents on the eyes, it makes it way more, I don't want to say realistic, but do you know what I mean? It reduces the distance between the animal and yourself when you add these tiny details. And I had so much fun to do this. It's just amazing. So before I go into some of the details about what is in here, let me quickly explain what you can get with the paper collection. And I don't want to sound weird, but please listen carefully now, because there have been some little confusions in the past about the items which are available in my shop. So the first thing you can get in my shop is the Come On Chameleon junk journal pages. That means you get full pages. So here you can see 1/2 of a full page, yeah, but it's folded in half in the signature here, obviously. The other half is here. So that means you have full pages which you can print and use as your junk journal pages or whatever you want. Of course, you can also cut them down and make your own ephemera from them or pockets or whatever, yeah. But the pack has full pages with chameleons and also some pages which are meant to use as background pages. The second thing you can get is an ephemera pack. That's also called Come On Chameleon, but there it says ephemera pack, where you can get all of the pockets. You can see here little tags, also background dish tags without the chameleons, but also some with the chameleons on them. You can also find in the ephemera pack some strips like these here, for example. So there's a whole sheet with these little photos which you can cut into strips. There are these kind of pockets, everything you might want to have as ephemera in your journal. And then there is also a third item available. And now please listen carefully, because the third item is called Come On Chameleon Junk Journal Kit. And that is nothing else than everything I talked about before. So the junk journal kit is nothing else than the junk journal pages plus the ephemera pack in one item. In the past, there have been some confusions about that. So if you now have questions about that, please throw them into the chat box so that I can answer them now, so that you are not confused and that you get what you might want to get. In the past, there have been some confusions about that. Some people have bought all of the 3 items accidentally without realizing that the junk journal kit is only the pages and the ephemera pack summarized. Yeah, it's the same thing, but in a kit. You know what I mean? So I did that because some of you said you want to have, a bigger variety to choose from, also budget-wise, and I totally get that. So perhaps you think I want to make a junk journal with chameleons, and I only need the pages because I already made some matching ephemera. Perhaps you have had some book pages or whatever, and perhaps you say, okay, I have already something which is chameleon-ish, like this tag, for example. It is made by myself, as you can see. I mean, this is not a print, yeah? You can easily tell this is made with some inks, and this is also some distress spritz and a stencil. So this is not from the printable, but perhaps you have something like this where you say, okay, I have enough ephemera which matches the junk journal pages from this kit, so that you only need the pages. Or perhaps it's also, it could be also the other way around, that you say, I do have already pages, but I need ephemera, so that you then could also, of course, get the ephemera pack separately so that you then can throw that into your journal. I hope that makes sense somehow. And for all of you who say, I want everything, yeah, I made the kit so that you can get everything at once and that you don't have to deal with purchasing 2 items. I thought that is the easiest way. Oh, I'm so in love. These tags are just collaged on some scrapbooking paper. So this here was made by a really, really dear junk journal friend a while ago. She has helped me with some things and she has made these for me and then sent them to me so that I can use them in my journal. So this is just a leftover, but I thought it fits so nicely color-wise here to this. And for this journal, I have tried something out, what I have never done before and what I, to be honest, totally underestimated, which I guess changed my junk journal life. And that is something which goes like a theme through the whole journal. And when I came to that idea, I was like, my mind was blown a little bit because I thought, why haven't I thought about that earlier? Because when you make a junk journal, what is the first thing you want to have? For me, that is somehow a color palette. And with a color palette, I mean, that can be something different for everyone, yeah? So you could also say, first I need a theme, or first I need my cover, or first I need this or this or that. But for me, it's really helpful to have a color palette in mind, or papers, like in reality, not only in my mind, laying on my table, which have the color palette I want to use. And when I had finished my pages here, when I made them digitally, and when I printed these out, I was like, okay, this is really nice. I'm really in love with my own paper collection. That sounds weird, but if I wouldn't be in love with it, it wouldn't go into my shop, yeah? So I was really proud that I had this. But then I thought, it's nice, Louise, but it also has really different colors. And why have I done that? Because of the chameleons, obviously. Their ability to change their color depending on the surrounding they are in obviously inspired the colors for my printable. So I have, for example, blue pages, then there's some purple, there's some orange. You can see it's really colorful, like, yeah, nearly like a rainbow printable. And then I realized that I guess, nearly never had something like that in my journal / on my desk while making a journal. And I was like, okay, how the heck shall I bring this color flow into my journal when I have so many different colors? I mean, look, it changes from blue to a little bit neutral with even here with this yellow, turquoise, with yellow, orange, red, purple. What the heck? And that was something where I, to be honest, was a little bit scared that I will not like it in the end. Because if you know me, you know that I'm a freak with colors and that everything in my journals needs to be cohesive, at least for my understanding and for my emotion when I flip through such a journal. That can be different for you, of course. That is not a junk journal rule. It can't be because there are no junk journal rules. But when I make something, then I want a cohesiveness. And then I thought, this can't work. I had struggles with this journal, I can't tell you. And that is perhaps a little bit weird because I've used my own paper collection. And when I sat on my computer and made this, the papers, obviously I had thoughts behind that and I had a plan, I had a concept. I always have a concept when I make a paper collection. But it's another thing when you prove yourself that it is something totally different if you sit in front of your computer or if you have printed the things out and then you want to create with them. That's also a reason why I show you this as a physical journal and not just the pages, because this imagination or this idea about what you can get from a digital paper collection is something completely different in my eyes if you have the journal or only the pages on your screen or printed out. Yeah, so that's a totally different thing. But then I thought, okay, what do chameleons do? I mean, what is the main thing? And then suddenly there was something like, this light bulb moment in my head. And I thought, well, the solution of getting this cohesive is so easy, even if I struggled so much in the beginning. And my solution for making this cohesive, perhaps you have already seen some spots where I did it. That solution for my problem here, I think, is something which can be a massive part of making junk journals, the junk journaling process easier, especially this kind of, getting a cohesiveness throughout the journal. And what I did is the following thing. I need to find a good page as an example. Let me show you the page I've already also recorded for one of the upcoming videos. I think it is the easiest to understand. That is this page. So you will find in the future a video about how I made this page. This page here, that is going to become a separate video, and you will see a separate video about how I made this. And I think here you can see my solution for my problem. I do this because junk journaling has no problems, but do you know what I mean? This struggle with the colors. So when I saw this here, this was not here. I had this page here with these flowers, and I wanted to have this pocket on here. So then I thought, why the heck does that look so separated? Because the background was not here. And then suddenly I thought, okay, what is a chameleon doing? It changes its color depending on the surrounding. So that means if I want to take this tag and put that into this pocket here, it needs to be dark here because the tag is dark here as well. Can you see what I have done here? This flower has this orange here. So I have orange, like orange-red here in the background. Here it changes into a color which seems to be similar to frayed burlap, so that is here. Then here is a little bit of like vintage photo-ish thing. And here, this turquoise pops out really much, doesn't it? So it's like, it's the only turquoise thing on the whole double spread here. So I made turquoise here. And then I blended the whole thing with vintage photo here and a little bit of turquoise there. And then I splattered with red because this red on the chameleon is really aggressively in the foreground, in a positive way aggressively, but and that way I got this chameleon embedded in the page and in the whole surrounding. Does that make sense? And when I found that out, I thought, holy cow, that is the solution for the whole thing here. And suddenly I knew what I had to do to make my vision of this journal come to life. Because when I had that, I changed I changed the pages I already had. For example, this here, there I already had the flower here and this little piece of lace and the pocket, and both of these tags have been in here, but I only had some of this cracked pistachio color here in the background because it matched this here. But then I thought, since here is orange, and here is blue, I need orange here and I need blue here to make this whole thing cohesive and chameleonish. Does that make sense? And when I had that, I thought, okay, I will try to do the same thing, like really nearly strategically on the other pages. And look, for example, here. This paper, is just a paper from my stash. It's, I think, normal copy paper, which I dyed ages ago with, I think, really cheap watercolor. I can't even remember that. These little marks came from a little tray in my oven. So I have dried that in my oven. So that's why these little grids are here. This is made with a stencil, this bluish stuff, and oxide ink. And on the page itself, I have splattered with some mica stain spray. And also, what is this? This is some oxide ink. I think that is seedless preserves. So that seeped through the page, and I got that here as well, so that I got the purple here already. But then with this blue, I got the connection to this bluish area here. Can you see that? I'm so excited, because that makes so much sense also for other journals. I mean, you can imagine this technique also with like dogs or cats, or even a journal without animals. Yeah, you can do that with any other journal. Why am I saying that so aggressively? Because I'm so proud that I found that out, because that makes things so much easier when it comes to color combinations and getting these bridges from one page to another. For example, this blue and this blue, which is Stormy Sky oxide ink, it's here next to each other, so that the blue goes from this page over to this page, so that we have a connection here, even if the, let's say, the base color of both of these pages is totally different. Do you understand what I mean? And I think that, I don't want to sound arrogant, but that is genius. Here, as you can see, I still have to find some matching stencils to do the trick here as well. As I said, this journal is nearly finished. It might look like you could leave it like it is, but since I found this out with the stenciling and with the colors, of course you could do that with stamps as well. It doesn't have to be stenciling, yeah? You could stamp in the colors as well, yeah? There's no necessity to use stencils, but you know, you could even do that with only splatters or mark making in the different colors or so. Doesn't have to be stencils. But what I was trying to say is that I want to include some stenciling or perhaps even stamping here as well on those pages where I haven't done that yet. Because here in this special case, I have done the following thing. Let me take this out so that you can see how that was in the beginning. Here I have a page where I have some really weird purple watercolor in the background. This purple is totally different to this, but I think when you look at the whole thing, somehow it fits. And purple and turquoise, what is this? Yeah, purple and turquoise, that is always, on the one hand, a nice combination, but this is so subtle and this is so intense. Can you see that? And that is a little bit weird, but I wanted to have this because, can you see what I thought here? Here are these, this is a belly band obviously, here are these strips, and we have the strips here as well. And I thought, if these are here in the background behind this pocket, it could be nice to have a belly band here with also this kind of strippy look. Is that English? Hopefully. And then I found this really, really old thing with these stars. This is like a paint sample, which I made by myself during 1 year of EPHEMERA. This is pretty old. Perhaps you remember this. I think this was the first year of EPHEMERA. I'm not 100% sure if that is true, but this definitely was EPHEMERA, but that doesn't matter. I have taken some real paint samples from a paint shop and put them behind to get this connection, not only color-wise, but also theme-wise, so that you can see this is obviously handmade and this is like, you know, you can get it for free in the shop. But I wanted to have this connection. Then I added this little flower. Here's also a little metal embellishment on this little flower here. This is a die cut this is metal, and this is just layered from some fabric flowers. And then I have put these little stamens, hopefully that's the right word, in here to make them a little more delicate. And this little thing is bread. I know that is a snowflake, but isn't this just cute for the center of a flower? Yeah, so when I had that, I was pretty satisfied with the look, with these strips and, you know, the connection between them. But when I look at this, I can also see that, for example, this turquoise here is a little, not a little, very different to these colors here. And I think what I want to do is I want to take tumbled glass oxide ink, and that I think comes pretty close to this here, to the skin here. And then I want to somehow get the connection in the same way, like here with stenciling or perhaps even stamping. Stamping, as I said, is also a good idea to connect this, but I haven't tried it yet. I have only tried it with the stenciling yet. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you want to put glossy accents to the eyes of your chameleons, let me give you a little tip. Cut everything out. Put everything to your table, your floor, or wherever you have space to do that, and let it, where you have the possibility to let it lay there. And then go with your glossy accents over all of the eyes at the same time. I mean, you know, not at the same time, but after each other, but in one session. Make all of the eyes at the same time. And, I said it again, I'm sorry, in the same session, so that they can dry. Because when you make them so dimensional, like here, I have put a lot of glossy accents on here so that there was a really, like, you know, a little hill on here. It takes a while to dry. I mean, that depends also, of course, on where you live and on the temperature in your room and all of that. But here in Germany, and I mean, it's February now, it's pretty cold here. So it takes a while to dry. But yeah, that's a little trick to do that as like a little preparation for all of your papers. And then you have it done and you can go with it instead of thinking, okay, I have this journaling card, nice, and I want to have this eye, and then I have to wait half an hour until this is dry. Yeah, that is, you know, waste of time. I also included some pretty old things here, like this, for example. I made this ages ago, and I'm talking about this thing where I created the pocket from, except the flower, the page tab, and this. This obviously comes from the Come On Chameleon ephemera pack, but this thing in the background with these strips and these sewn elements here, I made ages ago. And when I made that, I haven't thought about the color combination I have here. I mean, look how crazily colorful this is here when you only look at it like so. It looks a little like fallen out of the world or so. That is because I have used all of my scrap papers, or nearly all of them, and I have just sewn them together without thinking about a project where I wanted to use this. And that's why this was so long in my stash. But now it was the perfect thing for here, because with this flower here I made recently, and these page tabs we also made in one of my older videos, this fits perfectly together. What am I trying to say? When you make a junk journal, and especially when you are perhaps a beginner with all of this, and yeah, perhaps you say, okay, I like this paper collection and I want to have it, but I don't know so well how to start or what I shall do. Look what you already have. Look to your paper scraps. Look if you have perhaps made some page tabs or flowers or other decorative elements like tags or pre-made belly bands or so, which you can then just combine here. Because what this is 5 minutes of work, yeah, 5 minutes of creating. Because I went to my drawer, I have taken this out, which I already had made. I have taken one of these flowers, which I already had made. I have taken this, which I already had made. And then I have cut this out from the ephemera pack and glued everything together, and this was ready to go, yeah? So what I'm trying to say is, don't be scared when you see this journal here. And when I tell you that I have worked on this approximately 4 or 5 half days, don't be scared. Because, for example, this I have taken from my drawer. I have not made that from scratch while working on this. And I can, yeah, that is a discussion. I think that this discussion will never end. I'm talking about this discussion with compartmental making. When when I heard Tim Holtz talking about compartmental making for the first time, and I tell you the truth here now, because I always do that on my channel, I thought, okay, Tim, that is nice, and I understand what you say. Sit down one day, make backgrounds. Sit down one day and cut out things. Fuzzy cutting, die cutting, whatever. Sit down one day and let's transfer that to this journal. Make the eyes of the chameleon. Sit one day down and splatter to the pages. Okay, I totally get that. I understand what compartmental making is and what he means with that. But then I thought, when it comes to junk journaling, and especially making a huge journal with several signatures and a color palette in mind and a concept behind that, I mean, I don't say that he doesn't have a concept. Oh my goodness. But, you know, when you make cards, for example, you can say, okay, I have all of the bases cut. I have the next layer cut. I have, for example, my green die cuts because I need them for this whole card set. But that doesn't always work for a junk journal. I thought that it is like that. A very long time. I thought compartmental making doesn't work for junk journals. I've tried it and I failed. I really failed because my brain was, or my thinking about that was too limited to what he said. My brain was too limited to the idea I had about my own work. And then when I thought a little further, when I expanded my thinking about my own style, my own way of making journals, I suddenly got this light bulb moment where I thought, okay, now everything makes sense. Everything, what he said. And to be honest, when I hear Tim talking about something, it is really weird for me when I think that doesn't make sense, because everything he says makes sense to me, yeah? And then that was also possibly a thing where I thought I need to think about compartmental making more and more and more and expand my idea about that. So there must be a way that what he said makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And then suddenly I found it, and yeah, this solution was so clear then that I nearly couldn't believe that I was struggling with that for such a long time. Because, for example, on this page, at first glance you can't see it, can you? Look, here I have cut around the negative pieces of some paper where I have cut some flowers out with die cuts. Do I have this paper here? Oh my goodness, a second ago it was here. On my table here there's still a little bit of a chaos. Wait, where is this paper? Holy cow. Oh, I found it. So this is not the same flower, but for demonstration I think this is good enough. So I have taken this and obviously I have cut the flower out from here. And then I went with my scissors along here to get another outline so that I can cut out the negative. I have torn that in pieces and then I have put this here. So that means this here, well, to be 100% honest, this paper I made for something totally different. That's also why the flower is cut from the middle and not from the side here. That looks a little bit weird, but imagine you sit there and you do this compartmental making and you cut out these flowers for your stash. Yeah, like Tim said, compartmental making. Sit down and cut out flowers from white paper, from colored paper, whatever. Then you have them in your stash. For example, I will come back to the point in a second. For example, collect cards you get. For me, that is part of compartmental making as well. Sounds weird. This card here I got from a junk journal friend a very, very long time ago. She has used my Do-It-Yourself ephemera pack. This little guy here comes from there, and some other elements. And she has sent me this card. Compartmental making for me is also taking cards I get, cut them, sorry, after they have hang on my wall of inspiration for a longer time. Yeah, always when I get cards, they go to my wall. And then later on, when I get new cards, I exchange them, and the cards which have been there for a longer time go into my stash. So that means I cut them, put them into my color organization system so that I then have them ready to go to use in my journal. Would I have come to this idea to use this image here from my printable in this journal? Never, 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 never in my life would I have come to the idea to print out the Do-It-Yourself, which is a Halloween thing, for this journal. But with having this in my stash, I could find out that this tag from the Come On Chameleon ephemera pack fits perfectly on here. So I have lifted this little arm off and then put, the tag underneath, also with this little quote here, which already was on the card, so that I could embed the tag in the card. And now I have this belly band here, which holds this tag. In the background, there's also one of these paint samples from the EPHEMERA. It's the same thing like this here, but it's covered a lot. But can you see it's the same thing? Would I have come to the idea to use stars in this journal? Probably not. Why not? Because there's so much going around on my desk and in my brain when I make a journal that I need to see the things and that I need to take them, really literally physically take them, put them here and see if it works or not. And if I don't have the things, if I haven't made this, how can I then take that? That's not possible, obviously. And that is the point. When you make things and sometimes you sit there and you dye your paper. Look, that is another so good example. When I dyed these papers, that was when I was living in Austria in my caravan, and I had one of these really extremely sunny days, really, I don't want to say rare in Austria, but the weather is pretty extreme in Austria. It changes from wind to rain to sun within, a few hours, sometimes, not always, but sometimes. But there was a really hot day where I thought, okay, let's coffee dye some papers. And I had my little, what is the English word? Terrace? Is that a word? The area where you can sit outside your house. And there was a little lawn, and I thought I will place all of the papers there with stones so that they couldn't get blown away by the wind. I have then thrown coffee on them and let them dry. And then I thought I had some really cheap watercolor, and that's also how I made this paper here. So I thought, let's throw that on. Let's use that watercolor, and let's throw that on and see what happens. And to be honest, I was completely disappointed after that day I made that with the papers, because I have spent a ton of time, because, coffee, drying time. Another layer of something, drying time. The watercolor, drying time. That takes a while until you have that. And then I thought, what shall this be? This color is totally weird. I didn't like that it is so pastel-ish somehow. But here, it fits perfectly. And with these little splatters here, which I made then additionally while I was working on the journal, suddenly it fits perfectly. But if you don't have these things in your stash, then you can't use them. And I think you can't think about that like, you know, you are not a fortune teller, yeah? So it's, in my eyes, it's really important to have these things because, yeah, then you can use them. And what I also really enjoyed while making this journal is using all of my scraps. So I show you what I have here on my table next to me, because this is, I mean, I have just cleaned my table, and on the side here, there's still some leftover pieces. This is what I have. Some, you know, of the papers where I have cut the flowers, or where I have also used this to pick up some leftover paint and ink and so on, to don't waste that, because with this I have another piece of, you know, material to cut something out. I have some of the ephemera pieces left, some leftovers from the pages and so on, and some pieces I used for making the decorations, and everything is still here. And what I like to do with this is, on the one hand, making, for example, something like this journaling card. As you can see, it's not a rectangle here, because I've just puzzled the pieces together I had laying on my desk, and then I went in and added this die cut here. I have worked with several die cuts in this journal, tried out several different layering techniques also, and I think this flower die here, this is one layer of a colorized die cut that fits really, really well to the chameleon theme. So I gave him some hair and this little, you know, little rosette here. And then I just went in with my sewing machine, added some stitching, and I have these little guys here on the back, which also come from the ephemera pack. And you have already seen these. You can cut them, you know, separately. You can cut them in strips like so, or like so. So there's a whole sheet in the ephemera pack with all of these. And I'm so in love. I so love how they look, and how they, yeah, somehow stare at me. That is so cool. Yeah, so that is one thing. Use the leftovers you have, especially when you have cut out some things from the pages. You obviously have some leftovers, so you can make cards, for example, or other little things. This has taken really a lot of nerves. Here I have used the moon mask. Can you see the moon mask by Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous in the background? And I've made this pattern here with red. I don't know if you can see that it is a moon, but that doesn't matter because the colors match now. I wanted to try my little color trick with this card. I mean, you know, here's red and this dark turquoise on the card, which I turned into a little pocket here, flip out pocket. But the red and the purple, I think, is really hard to bring together because, you know, red and purple, that is like, you know, they are not twins or siblings, not even siblings. Do you know what I mean? That is really hard, but I think it turned out really cool with these round elements, and these little things are also from the ephemera pack. So I thought I wanted to have some round things which you can either use to get these, like, yeah, rainbowish things which also function as a color connection, but you can also turn them into little buttons by adding some glossy accents or just some embossing powder or embossing glaze or so. Then they get really sturdy, and you can, I mean, depending on the paper, you could even print them on really heavy paper, then you can use them as they come from your printer, yeah? You don't necessarily need mediums on here, but I think when you, was this here already? When you add some, yeah, some, for example, ultra thick clear embossing powder, then it comes out like this. So this is layered. The first thing, I can't show you. The first thing is this glossy thing. Can you see? It's a smaller of these round circles. I have added ultra thick clear embossing powder, and the other one is on the print of this envelope. So you get the envelope with the ephemera pack as well, and this is printed on there, and also this little string, so that you then can, if you want, take a real string, glue that down, and then add a second one of these on here. And I've added this little bread because I thought that looks nice, but this is just for decoration. But what I'm trying to say is you can get really dimensional like buttons, or how can I say that? It's not really a button, but you know what I mean. A little embellishment from these circles. Yeah. Compartmental making. Die cuts, use your scraps. Yeah, and then I also figured out something which is obviously part of my style, but I didn't know it yet. And that is layering with die cuts. I am pretty sure that you will see more of that in the future on this channel. I have some ideas already in mind how we can incorporate die cuts as shapes and layers into journals, and yeah, I want to think about that more in the future. So these are just some also pre-made things. Yeah, compartmental making. This is from my little Distress Spritz swatch video. I have a video where I have shown you how to make these like little artsy swatches. I mean, this is not a regular swatch, as you can see. Yeah, I have made all of these things here because I thought, why can't we do swatching of mediums like this and have yeah, finished ephemera in the end, which we can then use as an embellishment in our journals. So there's a video about that available as well. And this I made while I was watching a video by Tim. Just some, you know, mediums with, here, texture paste. And I thought this is a nice contrast here. Because when you look at, and that is also such a thing, when you look at this, and when I look through my, to my iPad, which mirrors the screen of my phone, then I can see something, yeah, I can see what you see. That is really helpful sometimes, because when I look to my journal, I have an angle because of my eyes, you know, like so. That is something totally different than when you look from above or you take a photo. And when I look to my iPad, I can see what you see now. And that is something which is pretty harmonious, isn't it? I mean, color-wise. But then, and that is made with the same thoughts like I already explained with stenciling. Here, look, here's the blue and it goes from here over here. The purple here, this purple thing, another purple here, so that it goes into this purple here. And this is the same, so that, you know, the color bridge works here as well. This turquoise is here. Can you see that? And when you then look here, there's this little thing which peeks out from this page. And because of this little thing, this is here. Do you know what I mean? So that this and this is also harmonious again. And at the same time, this here is a really crazy contrast to this harmonious color palette on this double spread. And it brings a little, like, you know, pop of something else to the page. I just talked about layering with, here, die cuts. Here you can see one example. You will definitely see more in the future. This is made with the same idea behind, like, this page here. I already told you, you will find a video on my channel about exactly this page in a few days. And I show you exactly how I made this, but the idea is exactly the same. I have cut some, with some die cuts, I have cut some alcohol inked papers and also some others I had in my stash. Here for this, I also made this little trick with cutting out the negative of a die cut. Yeah, like I have shown you on the other page a second ago. And all of these things, or not all, but some of these things are layered. So I have cut the flowers from a second print from the same page. So that means the Come On Chameleon Junk Journal page is in the background here. And the flowers here are on the page, on the first print, meaning on this. And then I have printed it again and cut this out so that we have this layering here now. And obviously you can also take something and tuck that behind. Ooh! Tuck that behind here. what the heck? Holy cow. This is, I mean, that was not planned that I just wanted to take something from here because here is nothing which I could use to demonstrate that this is a tuck spot. But I mean, what the heck, this fits way better here than here. Can you see that? Oh, can I make a second of these? Do I remember what I have used here? That is probably some mica stain spray. I need to redo this and a second one of these, because then I can have one here and the other one there, because I mean, what the heck, that fits perfectly. Because to be honest, this here I'm not so 100% satisfied yet. I'm really hoping, let me turn this around because this is confusing now because it matches so well. I hope you can follow my thoughts after you have heard what I just said, because when you look at this, here, this is totally different than this. It's not so harmonious yet. And this is also a page where I need to find something to get this connection, either with the stenciling trick or with stamps or splatters or something like that. But in these colors, because here, this was after I made, where's this page now? The other page here. So you can see this is way more harmonious, and I thought, is it possible to do this technique I've used here and on some of the other pages on this page as well? Obviously yes, because we have these possibilities to layer with the flowers, but then I thought, which other materials could I throw in here? Which other colors could I throw in here? So that means I wanted to go a step further with my own technique and with my own idea. That's why I have, for example, also layered the eye of the chameleon here with this piece here. So that means the chameleon is printed on the page. And then I have put this die here, or the die cut piece here, and I've cut out the eye again from a second print of this page and put that on here, so that I could see if that would work to make the chameleon a little more artsy or so. And then I thought, it's nice, it works, but we definitely need this connection color-wise. And with this, I mean, what? That is definitely a first step. Even, again, compartmental making, sit down and make things. I feel so weird when I say that now, because I was always like, compartmental making doesn't work for junk journaling, and now I'm the complete opposite of that, because I do think that it makes so much sense that I nearly can't believe that I saw that so differently just a few months or so ago, because this thing is by coincidence matching this. I mean, this is mica stain spray on a tag with black texture paste. And this is alcohol ink on Yupo paper. But it works. And it would not work if I wouldn't have made this or this. Do you know what I mean? Ah, that is so cool. I need another of these tags. I need to take this out so that I can later on remember that I want to do that. I mean, I can watch my own video, but I know my brain. It's sometimes not working like I want. Yeah, here, this is definitely also not finished yet. I mean, yeah, looks a little bit weird. But I also wanted to show you how a journal looks when you have bound it. But when you then think, I still want to work in it. Because there are so many people who say, yeah, well, I have bound my journal, but what can I now do with it? When you have bound it, especially with digital paper, where you say, okay, I print that out and then I make my signatures and I bind the signatures into the cover, blah, blah, blah. What do I then do with it? And that is why I have this here as well for you to see and to, yeah, to get an idea how that can look when you take it out from the printer and, you know, just throw it into the cover. Because this spread is, I would say, really raw and a good example for, yeah, the stage it looks immediately after you have printed it and bound the signatures into the cover. Yeah, well, that is perhaps a little bit weird because everyone is doing that a little differently. There are people who bind the signatures immediately into the cover and then do everything, you know, the decoration. And there are those people who decorate the pages first and then bind everything into the cover. That's for me as well. I do that as well. First the decoration and then bind it in. But there can always be pages like this which look really naked and raw. Is there a problem with this page? No. Is there a problem when I have reached this stage where I say this journal is completely finished and the page looks still like this? Is that a problem? No. I can have this here if I say, okay, I want to have this really calm page in between of the others. That is okay. There's no junk journal police who comes and says you need to do something here. Yeah, but I also wanted to have a little variation for you to look at. This is, for example, the same thing. Here's only a little bit of distressed spritz after I have had some frosted crystal applied with microglaze through a stencil. That was not a sentence. I have used a stencil. You can hardly see the pattern, but that is on purpose. And I have put some microglaze through this to make the frosted crystal stick to that. I embossed that and then I spritzed with distress spritz, sealed it because this is photo paper and the spritz doesn't hold so well on photo paper, but I sealed it so that it's now, you know, like this, to get this really cool effect here because I thought that looks really chameleon-ish. But that's all I have done on the page. Yeah, the chameleon has nothing on it and this is just like it comes from the printer. Is there a problem if you would have a journal with pages which are like this? No, absolutely not. Yeah, why should there be a problem? It doesn't mean that you need to make your journal like I do my journals. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And that is also the beauty of this community, that we are all different and that we can create our journals how we want and that we can throw in or throw out what we want. The same with this. Do you need to make your chameleons touchable? Definitely not. But if you want to do that, I will have a video about that available very soon. Here on this one, I've used my color changing eyeshadow as well. I think that turned out really, really cool. On this one, I did it a little differently because, you know, I wanted them to be different and not all the same. But as I said, the video about this will come very soon so that I don't need to go too much into detail about this now. Yeah. And I think chameleons also are something which somehow represents our junk journal community. I have thought about that for such a long time to build an opinion about that, but I always come to one and the same conclusion. By the way, here I did the layering with the die cuts and the digital paper as well. This was one of the first pages where I tried that, and I think that looks really cool. And you can play around with this. You can tuck some tiny things behind here. Yeah, so this functions as a tuck spot as well. Really cool. But I lost my sentence, sorry. When I thought about chameleons, I thought, what are they doing? I mean, it's really fascinating that they can change their color depending on the surrounding, you know, where they are. What can that have to do with us and with our community? I mean, when I make a journal, obviously animals, people, the theme, you know, has to do something with myself. I want to express myself somehow when I make a journal. And I think with chameleons, it's something special because they are able to change their color depending on the surrounding. And they are this color today and another color tomorrow or in an hour or so. But they are all from the same family. No matter if he is this color, or if he is like, you know, in this little pile of leaves or so, no matter if he has something like this, they are all from the same family. They are all chameleons. No matter what we do with our journals, no matter if we do everything in pink, no matter if we use die cuts or not, no matter if we like stamping or not, we are all from the same family, and we can learn so much from each other, even if we are so different. We are sitting in the same boat and somehow we are all chameleons. So that is something where I thought that is a really nice thing and a really nice picture of our community. But then I thought, think a step further. When a chameleon is in, let's say, this more vintage surrounding, with these more neutral colors, it changes its colors to the vintage style, doesn't it? I mean, look what I have used here. That is not coincidence. I have used these little bases for vintage playing cards. There is these are from the first year of EPHEMERA, and I think this was even from the very first video of the first year of EPHEMERA. Doesn't matter. You can see it's really vintage. These vintage book pages, yeah, that is not coincidence that these are in here. It's also not coincidence that these little flowers are here in these brown colors, yeah, and this, you can see, this is pretty vintage. Let's say this chameleon is a member of our community. This chameleon / the member of our community is surrounded by vintage things. He or she is surrounded by people who create vintage journals, vintage ephemera, vintage cards, all of that. What is the best way to learn how that is done? I think acting like a chameleon is the best thing, because when you are in this surrounding of vintage crafters, a cool thing and a really helpful thing is to imitate what they do, to somehow try to embed yourself in the surrounding you have there, meaning tutorials about how to make vintage things, tutorials about how to make grunge, and so on. And I think a good way to learn how that is done is to imitate what they do and to follow their tutorials, and to, yeah, also to, I think this ability to change the color is also, in my picture, the appreciation of those people, or for those people, I don't know the right little word, that you can see, oh, the person is telling me how she does that, so that I can imitate that, that I can, you know, nearly invisibly be embedded in the background and try to make everything vintage for the moment. And then, and that is something I find really fascinating in this picture and in this thinking about growing as a junk journaler, then you can think, okay, I have learned this from the people I was surrounded by, but then I can think, do I like this? Do I want to stay in this surrounding? If yes, and if I feel comfortable, well, do vintage for the rest of your life. But you can also say, I have the possibility to step out from the vintage surrounding and go into a totally different direction. I can say, I can use my skills I have learned here and do something totally different. I can then use some, let's say that this as an example, I can use some holographic paper to print on. This is absolutely not vintage anymore. But I have learned how to print, I have learned how to die cut, I have learned perhaps how to layer in the vintage surrounding, so I can take that and transfer that to a totally different theme, to a totally different style. And with doing that, I learn even more and I find my own style. And that is something, when I realized that, which made these chameleons even more special to me. I mean, I'm totally fascinated by the animal itself and by the, the real chameleon animal. Do you know what I mean? But with having these thoughts behind, it makes it somehow even more special, because there are so many people in this community and we are all so different, but at the same time, we are all the same. But at the same time, we can choose what we want to be, and we can take everything we have and what we already learned and go into a totally different direction. And we can then, for example, say, I use this paper here, which I bought. Yeah, well, I must have been drunk when I bought this, because this was so ugly when I saw it loose in my stash. I mean, not loose, but separately in my stash. I thought, how can I ever use this ugly paper? And when I had this journal, I thought, okay, let's try it, because somehow the colors fit. And now it is here, and I'm willing to probably put some more things on here to make this 100% cohesive. But I could only do that because of my chameleon skills I've learned in the community. Because of those skills and this also trusting in myself that I can do that. And that is something which is really important to me for my channel and for my videos and for my message here. Because what I do here, yes, I make digital papers, yes, I make journals, yes, I want to have fun with this, and I love crafting, and I want to bring that to you as well. But I also want to bring my message to you. And this is something which really transports a lot of what I would like to say and what I would like to bring to you. And I'm really hoping that that was not too confusing and not too weird. Because, when you have this kind of picture, like a story behind something, that doesn't mean that everyone will understand it. You know what I mean? Sometimes things only make sense for yourself and for no one else. But that's of course also okay. If you now are in the chat here and you say, Louise, what are you talking about? What are you telling us here? That makes no sense. Yeah, that is of course also okay, because it still makes sense for me. And if it doesn't make sense for you, that's okay, of course. This little thing here, also some other things I missed to mention, I got them in Happy Maze. This cool pocket here, for example, you can take that off with this paper clip, and then you can put that in here, on the page, and look how cool that fits. I mean, this is, I think, embossing glaze, or it could also be clear embossing powder on oxide ink. Not pretty sure. I was not in the room when the person made that. I got that in a Happy Mail, and then you can take this and clip this here, and you can put something inside. So the pocket is still empty, but yeah, I think that is a nice addition here. This I also got in a Happy Mail, and also some other things. I'm sorry if you have seen something that you have sent to me and I don't mention it now. I'm really sorry when I missed that, but there are a lot of things I have included from Happy Mails. This here, for example, this little pocket. I have then added these things from the Come On Chameleon ephemera pack, but the pocket itself came in a Happy Mail. The same with this one on the blue page, with this cool fluffy stuff. Where is it? This envelope, for example, as well. And where is this? It's not here. It's somewhere else. Wait, it's on this half blue. Wait. Where's the second half of this thing? Here. This little thing I also got in a Happy Mail, and I thought these little beads fit really, really well to the whole thing, and with this gold and this subtle blue, and especially this fluffy stuff. I don't know what that is. I needed a little bit of fluffy stuff in the journal, even if chameleons are not fluffy. I don't know what that is, but yeah. And what I totally forgot to mention is that I also have some chameleons in this printable, which I made that they look like they were made from paper. On this page here, for example, and also on some of the ephemera pieces, you can see that. Look, I wanted them to be really scrappy, so they are made from little pieces, can you see? And that shall be like paper. And I think that looks really, really cool. I wanted to have also something which is not too realistic, even if some of them, yeah, they look realistic. But look here, for example, there's also this little piece of lace on his back, even if the rest of him looks pretty realistic. But I wanted to have this mixture of artsy stuff. That's why I also included some of these like more watercolory abstract things to the backgrounds. And yeah, I wanted to have this mixture. And I thought, that is good. Yeah. So here we are already in the end. And I'm really excited to watch myself working in this journal even further, because here will definitely happen more. I want to use, as I said, this little trick with the stenciling on some of the pages, and I'm, well, 80% sure that also here on the cover will happen some stuff, perhaps with texture paste or so, because this is still a little bit too clean to me. I don't know why, but somehow I have the feeling that the front and this doesn't fit so well together yet. Perhaps it can also be, yeah, solved with just some white splatters or so, but you will definitely see that in my upcoming videos. So what is going to happen next? The first thing is you can find the paper collection linked below this video, of course. You can find all of the 3 items there, and then if you want, purchase them from there. And I also have a special discount for you, for all of you who are watching this video and, you know, for celebrating this premiere. So you can get 10% off on all of the 3 items, the Come On Chameleon Junk Journal pages, the ephemera pack, and also the Junk Journal kit. You don't need a code, but this discount is valid 1 week from today. So that means from today, when you see this video, 1 week, there's this 10% special discount, and then it ends. Is that fair? Hopefully. But I wanted to thank you that you are here with me, and this thank you especially goes to my German community now, because they have reacted in such a wonderful way to some of my decisions I made in the recent past. Is that English? Hopefully. So I will quickly say some few words in German, okay? Because it's really important to me that they understand that as well. I mean, you as my English-speaking community have left also very, very nice comments below the video where I decided to stop with my German videos. You know, or perhaps you don't know that I always made a German and an English video, and I decided that I need to stop that to protect myself from myself, if I can say that, because there was nearly no free time for me anymore. And you, as my English-speaking viewers, have also left really, really nice comments. But I want to quickly say something to my German-speaking community, because they are the ones who don't get German videos anymore in the future. Ihr lieben Leute, falls du jetzt hier gerade sitzt, und ich bin mal gespannt, was jetzt die KI mit der Übersetzung macht, aber okay, schauen wir mal, ob das funktioniert. Ich würde gerne kurz ein paar Worte auf Deutsch sagen. Zu allen denjenigen, die mein deutsches Video gesehen haben, in dem ich angekündigt habe, dass ich in Zukunft keine deutschen Videos mehr machen kann, aufgrund der in dem Video erklärten Gründe, weil ich mich irgendwie vor mir selber schützen muss und weil ich mehr Freizeit brauche und dieses Arbeitspensum einfach nicht mehr schaffen konnte. Wer das genauer wissen will, der schaut bitte einfach ein paar Videos zurück. Da findet ihr dann das Video, wo ich das genauer erkläre und euch das im Detail erkläre. Aber ich denke, die meisten, die das hier sehen, werden das andere Video auch gesehen haben. Und ich möchte kurz die Gelegenheit nutzen, mich bei euch persönlich zu bedanken, wo wir gerade jetzt hier sitzen. Und ich möchte das gerne auf Deutsch machen, auch wenn dieses Video hauptsächlich auf Englisch war. Ich danke euch von ganzem Herzen dass ihr nicht nur heute hier seid, sondern mir auch unter das Video geschrieben habt, dass ihr in Zukunft mir folgen werdet. Dass ihr sagt, die Sprache, in der ich das hier mache, ist eigentlich egal, weil ihr seht, was ich mache und die Inspiration und die Ideen sind sowieso da. Ihr habt keine Vorstellung davon, was mir das bedeutet, was ihr da geschrieben habt. Ich kann jetzt hier nicht zu sehr ins Detail gehen, weil sonst muss ich heulen, aber nicht aus den Gründen, die ich vorher geheult habe, sondern weil ich mich so freue darüber. Es hat so viel Verständnis gegeben für diese Situation. Es hat auch ein paar sehr harte Worte gegeben, ja, habe ich zur Kenntnis genommen. Habe ich mich sehr, sehr drüber gewundert, aber nicht unbedingt drüber geärgert, weil ich weiß, was ich hier tue und ich weiß, warum ich das Ganze hier tue. Nichtsdestotrotz haben die positiven Äußerungen sehr überwogen. Ich muss ganz ehrlich sagen, ich war ein bisschen überrascht, dass da nicht mehr Negatives kam. Und das ist euch zu verdanken. Und zwar einzig und allein euch. Und ich bin da sehr, 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 sehr glücklich drüber. Und das verschafft mir Unmengen an Möglichkeiten, die letztendlich auch euch zugutekommen, auch wenn die Videos in Zukunft auf Englisch sein werden. Das mit der KI-Übersetzung funktioniert, glaube ich, schon ganz gut. Ich hatte am Anfang da ein paar Probleme. Entschuldigt bitte, dass das so war. Ich habe das jetzt, glaube ich, im Griff. Ich hoffe, dass das für dieses Video jetzt dann auch funktioniert hat. YouTube hat mir da ein paar Steine in den Weg geschmissen, die ich aber, glaube ich, ausräumen konnte. Ich glaube, ich habe jetzt verstanden, wie ich das machen muss, dass das dann für euch zur Verfügung steht. Ja, in diesem Sinne switchen wir zurück zu Englisch. So, I hope that you like this, and I'm really hoping that you can find some inspiration, no matter if in this journal or with something else on my channel here. If you want to have this paper collection, please check out the description box of this video. Everything is linked there. And as always, if you have any questions, leave a comment. If you watch this premiere as a replay and, you know, when you see this and the chat is not there anymore, you know, when you watch this live, then obviously the chat is there and you can ask directly. But if you watch this as a replay, then don't be shy or so, yeah. Feel free to leave a comment and I will, of course, try to answer your questions as soon as possible. I wish you a very, very creative day. See you the next time and thank you very much for joining me today and being here with me in the chat. See you and, as I would say in my German videos, Tschüssikowski. Ich habe das nicht vergessen. Ich mache das, ne? Tschüssikowski. Das gehört irgendwie dazu. Da habt ihr recht. Für alle, die das geschrieben haben. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye.